Good evening and welcome to a program that's devoted entirely to lefties losing it. We should start with one of our regular contributors to this segment. She's the MVP of Lefties Losing It, MSNBC's Joy Reid. And here she expresses surprise that Kamala Harris didn't pick Mark Kelly as her VP because he's so white.
And I thought she would go astronaut, keeping it real. He, to me, would have been the safest, most conventionally safe pick. White, super white, like, mayonnaise sandwich on Wonder Bread, white.
Can you imagine a news anchor describing a black dude with that sort of language? You'd be off air in a millisecond. Now, let's check in on some Kamala fanboys and girls. Why are they backing a woman who was 5 minutes ago called a political liability but is now some sort of a saviour? Let's hear from some of her biggest fans, starting with this young lass who identifies as a trans man that got pregnant and had an abortion.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
I don't want to lose my rights. Like, I'm a trans man and I'm gay and I have been pregnant and I've had an abortion before and I don't want to lose that. I'm afraid of not being able to be myself anymore because from what I've heard, Trump's America doesn't want me to look like this. So
your mum doesn't want you to look like this. And here is her friend who seems to think that Donald Trump is going to make piercings and tattoos illegal.
Like, I'm very,
alternative,
and I feel like if Trump were to win, I wouldn't be able to, express myself through my looks and everything, and wouldn't be able to have the piercings or the dyed hair or the tattoos that I want. I would be able to be myself, and my dad's very pro-Trump, and I'm just very
pro-Kamala.
Pro-Kamala, yeah, I don't,
That poor dad. Yep, low information voters with paranoid delusions seem to be overrepresented at these Kamala rallies. Let's hear some more, and great work, I should say, here by Taylor Hanson for these eye-opening interviews. Now, get ready to lose some brain cells.
They probably wouldn't have accommodations for someone like me, especially given that I like women as a woman. I want to keep access to my bank accounts. I would like to keep making money. I don't want to be some man's object. I really don't. It's the whole thing with Project 2025 is terrifying. I read through some of it and it was just insane. It's bad.
That is bad, that anyone allowed to vote could be that brainwashed and broken. But there's more, there's always more.
Why are y'all voting for Kamala Harris?
It's ridiculous how anymore it's really hard for people like us, like queer people, and it's just really hard for us to get rights. And with how the Republicans are handling everything, it's just putting more and more stress on us, like basically taking away everything we have. And it's just important that we feel safe just even living here, because everyone's been wanting to leave the country, and this is the only chance we have to properly fix everything.
Goodness me, what can you say to that? If you allow leftist indoctrination to run unchecked, that's the end result, folks. But it's not just young women who are being swept up by the Harris Walls campaign. Check out these two.
Why are you voting for Kamala Harris?
Because she is the woman that we need right now.
Is there any specific policies or anything that really makes you vote for her?
I just believe in her. I believed in her when I lived in California, and I still believe in her now.
Because she's all about the middle class. She's like us, and Trump is bad. That's just...
Trump's bad?
She's everything we're looking for. She is. She's just everything we're looking for.
The cat ladies for Kamala, so can you kind of explain that to me?
Well, I think you got it right there. I don't need to go any further than that.
Are you a cat lady for Kamala?
I am a cat lady for Kamala, obviously.
And the Kamala Harris campaign was so impressed with this next fan that they posted this video to social media.
Who do you plan to vote for?
Kamala.
Kamala. And why?
I kind of just agree more with her policies that she has ideas for, and she's not a felon.
Yeah, that's what white dudes for Kamala. That's what they sound like and look like. As for Kamala, she sounds great as long as she sticks strictly to the script written for her. And that's why they haven't allowed her to do any interviews or press conferences where she has to think on her feet. Indeed, they are so tightly controlling every word she utters that she started plagiarising her own speeches.
So good to be back in Michigan. Listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds and had a summer job at McDonald's. I had a summer job at McDonald's. So hear me when I say, so hear me, Detroit, when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. And are we ready to fight for it? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
You know what? I think I prefer it when she plagiarises Donald Trump.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Tips for service and hospitality workers.
I regret to inform you I found more Raygun content, more terrible dancing to expose later in the segment. But first, it's always funny when lefties laugh at other lefties. And that's just what happened on the Stephen Colbert show when CNN anchor Caitlin Collins appeared as a guest to talk about Trump, what else, when Colbert made this ridiculous comment.
He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes it, and I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
I guess it is. Of course, the biggest laugh Stephen got was unintentional there, but even his lefty audience recognised how hopelessly biased CNN is. And this is an audience that watches this.
Yesterday, a Reuters Ipsos poll had Vice President Kamala Harris leading former President Donald Trump 44-42.
It's over!
Oh, looks like it could take on Aussie breakdancer Raygun with those moves. But look, I'm just happy old Steve-O is smiling and dancing again because he was in a dark place not long ago. Remember this mad rant?
I know how numb we've become, but it's not normal. No other candidate for the presidency has ever had to pause his campaign to defend himself in multiple courts. And I would like to point out that in all 7 of his cases, no one doubts that he did these things. We're just sitting around patiently waiting to find out if the wheels of justice will grind fast enough for there to be any consequences.
Imagine how unhinged his little echo chamber must be if he genuinely believes the sham cases against Donald Trump are legitimate. You know, there's a reason why his poll numbers went up every time he was indicted. Even being convicted didn't hurt him with most voters. And that's because despite the efforts of CNN and co, most folks can recognise political persecution when they see it. And on CNN, they really did disgrace themselves overnight with deliberate disinfo after Donald Trump's 2-hour chat with Elon Musk. Indeed, the bulk of the media has been in full propaganda mode about the interview. They've been calling it a big flop, but the numbers tell another story. Despite technical issues that delayed the start, tens of millions, and by some metrics, hundreds of millions, have already listened to part or all of the Trump-Musk interview. But this is how CNN described it.
With 40 minutes of silence and then a bropocalypse of politics. No matter how you frame it or what caused the glitch, what was finally said between Donald Trump and Elon Musk at last night's Big X event can largely be defined as a rant filled with familiar lies and lines of attack.
Familiar lies and lines of attack, is she describing her CNN colleagues there? And CNN were at it again with this shameless bit of fake news. This is astonishingly dishonest.
I want to play one exchange that was kind of classic. Well, there were a lot of exchanges that were classic Donald Trump, but this one really stuck out to us.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that, you know, so it's not as scary as people think, basically.
So that was more Elon Musk than Donald Trump talking about, sort of suggesting that what happened almost 80 years ago, I think 80 years ago next year, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, now it's okay, kind of trying to blow off the impact of that.
But that was not what they were talking about at all. And CNN has deceptively edited that clip and not even mentioned that the discussion was actually about nuclear energy and why it has a bad name because of nuclear bombs. Trump mentioned nuclear energy needs a rebrand. The unedited chat CNN cut up was over 2 minutes. Here's a little bit of it unedited.
There's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is underrated.
You're right.
And it's actually, you know, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding.
If you listen to the whole discussion, you see they weren't saying nuclear bombs and destruction were no big deal, as CNN would have you believe. Let's go to the UK now, where people are being locked up for so-called online violence. We can't tell you precisely what most of them have posted online, but here's a judge sentencing one young man to 20 months in prison.
You have been committed for sentence, having pleaded guilty to an offence of publishing written material which is threatening, abusive or insulting, intending thereby to stir up racial hatred. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable.
Threatening, abusive or insulting. The first one should come with criminal consequences. You can't threaten people, but since when is insulting commentary something you can be chucked in jail for, other than in places like China or North Korea and now the UK? It's the same country, incidentally, where someone involved in a machete attack that killed a child can walk away from prison after just 6 months. Now, let's have a look at woke academic and breakdancer Raygun, the woman who scored 0 for all her dances at the Paris Games. But we're told she's the best female breakdancer in Australia, and to say otherwise is sexist trolling. Here's the Australia's Olympic Committee's Anna Mears.
With trolls and keyboard warriors and taking those comments and giving them airtime has been really disappointing. If you don't know Rachel's story, in 2008, she was locked in a room crying, being involved in a male-dominated sport as the only woman, and it took great courage for her to continue on and fight for her opportunity to participate in a sport that she loved, and that got her to winning the Olympic qualifying event to be here in Paris. She is the best breakdancer female that we have for Australia.
I'm not sure if she's even the best breakdancer in her family, but let's hear from the woman herself.
I could be representing Australia. It would be an amazing opportunity and just something I never thought would happen.
But Rachel is even more excited for the next generation of B-boys and B-girls.
Already there's a lot more family support for people to get in breaking, because I know people of my generation and earlier, you know, their families were generally like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time with this?
You should listen to your family, indeed. Listen to anyone telling you not to do this. Listen to those people, please. But Raygun has always had supreme confidence in her abilities. Just ask her.
I think my understanding of musicality going into breaking was very strong. My body awareness, my coordination, my eye for technique has been much stronger going into the dance.
And you can understand why she may be a tad delusional, because she kept getting plaudits and awards despite having no discernible dancing ability.
The winner of Sports Star of the Year is Rachel Gunn. Wowzers, thank you so much. much. I think it is just so cool that a breaker has won Sports Star of the Year.
And sadly, copyright issues mean we can't bring you her Olympic performance, but we can all enjoy some of her other stellar work. Wow, how did she ever qualify for the games? I mean, look at that. You know what? Maybe we can blame her coach, Samuel Free, aka Sammy the Free, who is also her husband and a fellow breaker. Check out these moves. I think we know where some of that choreography came from. Goodness me. But don't you dare mock any of that, because Australian Sports Commission CEO Kieran Perkins will call you a keyboard warrior.
And all of the commentary and the dialogue that's gone on, you know, all the keyboard warriors and haters out of there, get back in your box. We are Australia, we are Australian. To have one of our athletes so proud to wear our uniform and then to bring what's unique about us to the international stage, we should all be proud. It was an awesome event. It was a great display of different thinking, and, you know, I'm a huge Raygun fan. She has made us all proud.
Made you proud, Kieran? Made the rest of us laugh? Fancy trying to bully Australians into not having a laugh over something so obviously absurd. Give it a spell. And talking about having a laugh, Jimmy Fallon wasn't letting this comedy gold go to waste.
Thank you for stopping by. I had to ask you this. How are you feeling since your performance? Oh my God, no. Okay, yeah. I understand. No, very good. Okay, Raygun, okay, Raygun. Thank you, Raygun. Raygun, I see you speak through your dance moves. I understand. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to tell us? Yeah, that one. Me? You want me to dance with you?
We're going to have some stellar Kamala content for you shortly, but first, a trigger warning for all the sensitive souls out there. The following clip will have Lefties lose it. Here is Pastor Gino Jennings expressing his disdain for those who don't know what a woman is, including President Joe Biden. Remember him? He's apparently still president.
Congressmen in Congress trying to define what a woman is.
That's right.
What is a woman? It's your mama. It sure ain't your daddy. What's a woman? Your mama. President Biden joining in on the conversation. We didn't know what a woman is. We didn't know what a woman is. A woman is your mama. Man is past 80, isn't it? You mean to tell me you past 80 and you don't know your mama and your wife is a woman?
Hallelujah. Now, here is a woman who should be listening to the good pastor, because I can guarantee you she won't be able to answer the question, what is a woman? Let's hear from Delta Airlines top DEI officer, that's diversity, equity and inclusion, and her plan to make air travel more woke and gender inclusive.
So we're beginning to take a hard look at things like our gatehouse announcements. You know, we welcome ladies and gentlemen, and we've asked ourselves, is that as gender inclusive as we want to be? You know, we're looking at some legacy language that exists in some of our employee manuals and getting to the root of the way some things are described.
Now let's go to the UK and the so-called anti-racism protests. That's not what they actually are, and some of those attending cannot even distinguish between illegal or legal migration or what taxpayer money is being spent on. Listen to this young virtue signalling ignoramus.
Is it anti-immigration or illegal immigration? What do you say?
I don't think anybody's illegal.
I hear this a lot. What makes refugees not illegal?
Because people aren't illegal.
Of course, but when they come into the country without passports, what can you do about that?
We can welcome them in. They're refugees, they're asylum seekers, they're fleeing persecution.
Right. And how do you feel about the taxpayer having to pay for that?
The taxpayer doesn't pay for that. I'm answering a question.
Okay. Apparently the taxpayer doesn't pay for illegal immigrants.
Now, times are hard and inflation is biting, but if you rely on tips for your income, perhaps don't be an entitled prat like this next dude.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say it's a nice house for a $5 tip.
You're welcome.
He looked like he was delivering one pizza there. How much of a tip did he expect? Now, talking about entitled young men, these two miscreants really are deplorable. Watch as they laugh when caught vandalising a shop owner's outdoor space, even as he tells them how much it costs him.
Are you serious, man? Man, are you serious? I paid $16K for this whole place to rebuild it.
You $16K?
Yeah, yes.
This
someone
guy didn't
started.
stand it.
So,
He didn't stand it, dude.
So,
terrible.
it's $25,000 fine. So I can forward this video to the cops and see what they're gonna do.
They have absolutely no fear of the police there, or the fact that they are on camera committing crimes. I mean, is vandalism still a crime in blue states? Now to a regular on this segment, and frankly, I've missed her. She may no longer be on The View, but she keeps bringing the goods, and her Trump derangement syndrome shows no signs of improvement. Here is Rosie O'Donnell.
Are you watching this moron speak? Can he form a coherent sentence? He is the worst thing that ever happened, period. And he's just babbling like an incoherent. He's like Dr. Doom. He's the worst thing.
Now to another lefty celebrity losing it. Here is how LeBron James treats a young fan.
Congratulations, LeBron.
Stop. Don't do that.
Congratulations, LeBron. Champion!
Awful, awful. He ain't no Jordan, that's for sure. He's more the male Megan Rapinoe. Remember her? I've missed her too. Here she is at Seattle's Pride Parade, refusing to answer a very simple question.
Your U.S. women's soccer team famously lost to high school boys. Do you really think it's fair for these same boys to be competing in girls' sports? Why should trans people compete against young girls? Do you not think that they're going to get hurt? Are they going to get hurt?
Oh, how clever to take a drink so she doesn't have to answer. Yes, Megan supports trans women, i.e. men, competing against women, even though an under-15 boys squad smashed the national team. Now, let's have some Kamala action, and she really is an intellectual, a leader of rare ability and courage and principle. So much principle.
I'm going to get mad when we have an attorney general who is trying to resuscitate the war on drugs.
Yes, can we talk?
And he thinks the greatest evil that mankind has ever seen is marijuana.
It's big.
Like, I've said this, and you've seen this in my emails. Yeah. Leave grandma's medical marijuana alone. Just leave it alone.
So... this is the same woman who convicted almost 2,000 people for marijuana violations and sent many of them to prison. Did she think no one would remember that? Well, the bulk of the American media has forgotten, and Kamala herself seems to have a few memory issues.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we? Merry Christmas, everyone.
And the Vice President seems to think that one pumps electricity into an EV, an electric vehicle, like you pump gas into a regular car. Watch this hilarity.
And there's no sound or fume.
There is nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's all there is.
For all of us who are used to
every morning
filling our tank, you usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
Right.
None of that.
None of
that.
So
how do I know it's actually working?
It is.
I wonder how many hours she would stand there just holding the Bowser. And let's now go to a non-binary dog. Watch this and try to figure out if the owner is serious or mocking the painfully woke. I'd like to think it's the latter.
Oh my God, your dog is so cute. Can I pet her?
Oh, they is actually non-binary, but you can pet they if you'd like.
Thank you.
It's really not okay to misgender dogs.
And let's end Lefties this week with this classic bit of comedy from Stephen Hughes about being offended. This never gets old.
I want to live in democracy, but I never want to be offended again. Well, you're an idiot. How do you make a law about offending people? How do you make it an offence to offend people? Being offended is subjective. That has everything to do with you as an individual, or a collective, or a group, or a society, or a community, your moral conditioning, your religious beliefs. What offends me may not offend you, and you want to make laws about this? I'm offended when I see boy bands, for God's sake. It's a valid offence. I'm offended. They're corporate shills posing as musicians to further a modelling career, and frankly, I'm disgusted. Right? But what am I going to do? Call the cops? Hello, it's me again. They're on the telly this time. 5 of them, that's it. Yeah, white suits dancing like girls, that's them. 5 minutes, I'll be out the front traumatised. Bye.
And that's it for tonight. I'll see you Sunday morning for Outsiders. Good night.